Do you have it, Clifton?
Hey now, this is Live from the Table, the official podcast of the world-famous Comedy Cellar, coming at you not on Sirius. All right, let's start that again.
No, it's okay. Just go ahead.
All right, fuck it. Yeah, we're available wherever you get your podcasts, and in particular on YouTube, which is a multimedia experience. Dan Naturman here, along with Noam Dworman, the owner of the ever-expanding Comedy Cellar with a new location on West 3rd Street and 6th Avenue, opening soon. We also have Periel Aschenbrand here, author of The Only Bush I Trust Is My Own. And what's the other book you had?
On My Knees.
On My Knees. Available wherever fine books are sold. And we have a guest coming in a bit. He's not here yet, but we look forward to his arrival imminently.
I have a few things to say before the guest comes. First of all, this happened to me the other night. I'm looking at my phone, and it says, tracker traveling with you. Unknown Apple AirTag detected. The owner of this tracker can see its location. Have you gotten this on your phone?
I have not.
This is very disconcerting. You know, it turned out to just be in the purse of the massage parlor girl I was with. Okay, yeah. No. So, no. So I figured out what it was. It was because Liz had given me a new key to the place around the corner. She put a tracker on it, so we wouldn't lose the keys. But it's a brand new feature, I guess, on Android phones. And but it took me a long time. I said, "What the fuck is my wife tracking me?" I'm like,
that's what I thought.
Yeah, it says she's not usually very tech savvy, but so that's number one. I just thought it was funny. I don't know if it's happened to other people.
Would you be upset if she were tracking you?
Would I be upset? I would never tell her that I detected that, and then I would use it for disinformation.
You would be like the Allies who didn't reveal to the Germans that they had cracked the code.
Yes. I would put the tracker in a hotel room, and then I'd have some surprise, like a surprise party. Surprise! Happy birthday! That would be a great idea.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Because you know she'd show up.
Do you think that it would be unreasonable for her to track you?
It's in violation of my privacy. Are the mics even, Clifton? Because I hear myself much lower than everyone else. It would be a total violation of my privacy to track me.
Would it?
Yes. Anyway, okay, that's number one. Okay. Number two, the State of the Union address, Dan.
Yes, I watched it. You did not?
I did. Well, honestly, I put it on and I fell asleep immediately.
Well, my thoughts were...
Move over to the left a little bit.
To the left? This is not the left. It's my left.
Okay, yeah. Clifton, is that better? 1 second.
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, we had a guest on relatively recently that said Trump has dementia. This was a man that spoke for 2 hours. He did not...
I don't remember that. Go ahead.
Yeah, he did not make a single error. I mean, I guess he was reading from a teleprompter, but I assume he was ad-libbing.
He never sticks to a teleprompter.
And even if he was reading from a teleprompter, I don't think a guy with dementia could read for 2 hours without a single error. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he could.
No, I can't.
And
Gavin Newsom can't. Go ahead.
So this is not a man with dementia.
So this is the product of a perfectly sane and healthy mind.
Yes.
Imagine if he had dementia.
And, he spoke a lot about Biden ruining the country and him coming along to save it in the nick of time.
Well, I was at the White House. I got a tour of the White House last week, and I saw this Walk of Fame. I mean, it's so vulgar. It's so awful, but it's so funny. I can't deny it. It has a picture of like the picture of every president. And, it has him. It has, and he obviously wrote this up. It's this great description of him. Then there's next to him, there's a picture of an auto pen, a photograph of an auto pen.
What do you mean an auto pen?
Like, this is this thing that people use to sign their signature.
Oh, okay.
It's called Joe Biden, the auto pen president.
Yeah.
And it says Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of the United States, was the auto pen president.
And this is in the White House. It's really unbelievable.
It's right across from the Rose Garden, as I recall.
Well,
in his corridor.
He won. He beat. Well, he's
Barack
the
Obama
president.
was the most divisive president in history. Really? More than you, Trump?
Usually when people are victorious, their desire for revenge sort of dissolves.
Yes, not him.
And not him. I mean, this guy just wants his enemies just ground into the dirt.
Why are they even his enemies?
Well,
why does Barack Obama have to be Trump's enemy?
Because I get why. I mean, I'm not saying he didn't deserve it. but they've been, aggressively oppositional to him and called him a fascist and a this and a that, racist, fascist, anti-Semite, dementia, can't even read.
Have they said all those things about him?
I mean, I don't know. Every person said all of them, but this is basically what they've said. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you about, Dan. So you thought the State of the Union was good?
Well, I enjoyed it. Was it good? He berated, Biden. He berated the Supreme Court justices for striking down the tariff.
Oh, let's talk about that.
Yes.
Did you read the Supreme Court?
I didn't read the decision.
But didn't you go to law school?
Yeah, but I didn't read the decision. I didn't read the decision.
Did you read accounts of it?
No, but,
have any
feel free to.
Well, I have thoughts on it.
Yeah. Okay.
And my thought, what do you think? This is first, but this is a comedy podcast. Periel, what do you think?
Don't be rude. I want to tell you, get lots of comments on YouTube about how you should be nicer to me.
Yeah. From you. What did you think of?
By all of my accounts.
What did you think of Gorsuch's concurrence in the tariff case, Periel?
Well, I'm trying to understand what a tariff is.
Yeah, the
Noam,
problem
can you
is,
explain it to me?
it's the joke is I think wearing thin that Periel's an idiot.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
say goodnight, Gracie. That was that for 10 years. That never wears thin.
All right.
I have people who tell me, hello, come on in. I have people tell me that the only reason they listen is for those jokes. Hello, sir.
Hello, Jesse.
Come sit down. We're just
all the way
discussing
from on your honor. I wore a Canada shirt here, as you can see.
Well, I'm just going to tell Dan what I thought about the tariff.
Yeah, but okay. And I go ahead. And then I have one thing I wanted to bring up quickly.
And then we could talk about the joke.
Well, I just had one thing I wanted to bring up quickly.
So the tariff decision. This is what I think.
Okay.
And I've heard nobody analyze it this way. So I think that it's very clear that they did not want to get into a consideration of what is or isn't an emergency. So the law allows for the president to take steps to regulate trade in the case of an emergency. And of course, this has worked for many years because most presidents operate in good faith and a certain norm. So most people didn't just claim that anything was an emergency, right? Like if I give my kids, here's $500 for an emergency, I know 2 out of 3 of my kids would never touch that money unless they need to go to the hospital, like it's an emergency, Dad. Mm-hmm. And one person would say, I only had 200 Robux left. Now I understand I can no longer trust you with the discretion of deciding what is and isn't an emergency. So they didn't. So this is Trump. Like Trump, some of those tariffs were against nations we didn't even have a trade deficit with. But they don't want to get into that because then every single statute that's ever been written that allows for special emergency powers becomes something for litigation. So I think, this is my personal theory, so they look for a workaround. Now, the liberal justices, Justice Roberts has this major questions doctrine, which I think I really think Justice Roberts is a great man. And I think this is a very, very smart practical measure because what it does is say that anytime a particular act is going to, be tremendously disruptive, we have to be 100% sure that this is what the Congress intended. We can't just say, well, they probably meant, or they probably should have known that's what it meant. That we have that if it's going to be like disruptive and likely unintended consequences, then we are going to be very narrow about interpreting the legislation. And I think this makes sense because in a long game sense, this then forces the Congress to be very, very careful about how they draft. And if they want to give expansive powers, then they should say so. And if they don't want to give expansive powers, because very often legislation is mushy because it's the product of compromise. So I say, okay, well, don't get too specific there. We won't get too specific there. Then we can all kind of get, and we'll pass it. And then all of a sudden, you've handed Donald Trump this tremendous power. All he has to do is say it's an emergency, right? But what was interesting is that there's 3 justices, Kagan and Jackson and whoever the third one was, who didn't want to sign on to the major questions doctrine. They said it could just be decided narrowly on the merits of on the text of the law. And Justice Kavanaugh pointed out pretty intelligently, I thought, that, well, are you saying that the law gives the president the right to cut off all trade entirely but doesn't give him the right to mitigate it with a fee, that doesn't kind of make sense. Like if you're going to give the president the right to cut it off entirely, he probably ought to then have the included right of being able to do a less extreme measure.
Didn't mention beer in his decision.
So then, no, and not the Devil's Triangle either. So then, so Justice Gorsuch wrote an opinion, I thought very, very correctly and I'm not a Justice Gorsuch fan, pointing out that these liberal justices who felt that this could just be decided textually, they were the same ones who were ready to let OSHA regulations be used for these vaccine mandates, even after we already knew the vaccine mandates were not necessary to stop the spread of COVID. This obviously nobody writing these OSHA regulations ever imagined it would be used for vaccine mandates. And it also allowed Joe Biden, they were going to allow, these were not majority opinions. They were also going to allow Joe Biden to cancel and forgive every student loan using some provision of a statute which allowed for special dispensation for difficult cases, for people who had very compelling cases to have loans forgiven. The president was going to be allowed to do that, but they allowed Biden to use this provision. They would have allowed Biden to use this provision to forgive every student loan there is, or within this universe of student loans. So I think he really hoisted them on their own petard. Like all of a sudden now they're saying the president doesn't have the right to charge fees, tariffs for trade in an emergency, and that's plain from the statute, but these other statutes can be read broadly. So I think that Justice Roberts had it right. This major questions doctrine is a very good speed bump to stop the president from being able to willy-nilly, just, in bad faith, use statutes that were written to give the president flexibility in an emergency. We want the president to have flexibility in an emergency, but we also want him to act in good faith. And I think this major questions doctrine is the best they could have come up with. It also, finally, it drives a stake through the heart, and you heard it here first, folks, that this court was not going to authorize the president to send a SEAL team out to kill his political opposition and then claim presidential immunity. Do you remember that? Oh, Sotomayor, that was the one I could remember. You remember when Sotomayor said that? Mm-hmm. And I said, that's just ridiculous. So anyway, but I think this tariff decision was very good. I think it's great that you have something. We didn't introduce you yet, but if you
but first of all, just if you knew you were going to want to discuss tariffs in depth, let me know by all means.
Oh, I just came up. We had some time to kill.
And I also have a couple of points I want to bring up. One point I want to bring up.
Can you introduce him?
Oh, yeah, okay. We have Jesse Brown with us, founder and editor of Canadaland, winner of the Hillman Prize for investigative reporting. And he is a best-selling author and a host of the podcast, What Is Happening Here? Jesse Brown, how are you?
I'm okay. Can I be seditious?
Yeah.
Can I be a Canadian traitor?
Yeah, please. Talk closer to the mic. Yeah, go ahead.
You can be whatever you want as long as you talk closer to the mic.
Just turn your mic up. But go ahead. Yeah, you said seditious?
I may not be able.
Time. Sorry. What?
I had a nightmare like this last night.
Oh, yeah. So while I have you here now.
Yes. He wants to be seditious. Go ahead.
Well, wait until.
No, let's just go. Come on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Trump has a point with Canada.
Oh, are we talking about tariffs now?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
We've been getting a bit of a free ride. And we have this supply management system. We regulate milk and butter. We pay multiples of what Americans pay for it.
Yeah, but it's not an emergency.
It's not an emergency. It's a complete lie. The pretense for imposing the tariffs. We've been waiting for the Supreme Court to strike this down. This has been, Canada's hope. Maybe this isn't real. Maybe things can go back to the way they were. He's exceeded his power. He's stretched too far. They're going to hold him back. The court's going to hold him back. Okay, so he lost this one. So what? It doesn't change anything. We've got Carney is out there. Our prime minister is out there forming new trade relationships with anybody and everybody. It's long overdue. We kind of needed a kick in the ass.
What's Trudeau doing these days now that he's out of office?
Katy Perry.
Okay.
So
hilarious.
There was one other point that I wanted to make about it. I forgot to make to illustrate why it is that I think that the Sotomayor, Kagan, Jackson position is so weak. Let's imagine, for the sake of argument, that the Biden administration had very good intelligence that China was going to invade Taiwan the following winter.
Okay.
And the president said, President Biden said, this is a major threat to us because we depend on Taiwan for all our microchips. So we need to spur investment in domestic production immediately. We're going to put an emergency 100% tariff on all microchips. The same logic that they wanted to put a gas tax at one time to make overseas oil more expensive to spur a technological innovation into shale and stuff domestically.
Okay.
To bring market forces to bear. There is no way those same three justices would have said to Joe Biden in that real emergency situation, nope, the statute doesn't allow you to do that. I know it's a real emergency. I know that, but you could cut off all trade with China. You cut off all microchips from these countries. But of course, they can't do that because the entire country would halt to a stop without microchips. We need microchips. People would literally die without microchips in this country for healthcare, for all sorts of planes would fall out of the air. So what I'm saying is that in a real emergency, the court would have upheld these tariffs. Everybody knows that this wasn't a real emergency.
Yes.
They just don't want to rule on those grounds. Periel, I'm going to lose it.
What sort of podcast am I on here?
I don't know what's going on. It's been happening the entire time. Either we're going to stop it, I know, or we can't operate this way. So what's going on?
I wasn't in the right position.
Okay.
For the camera.
All right.
The legislation that allows the president to declare tariffs in the state of emergency would have worked if it was an emergency, but it's not an emergency, which is why he wasn't allowed to do it.
Slowly.
The legislation that permits the president to declare emergency tariffs in the case of emergency would have been upheld had it been a legitimate emergency.
Yes.
But this was not a legitimate emergency,
Right.
Which is why he lost.
Yes, but they couldn't say it. They couldn't say it's not a legitimate emergency, because that would then open a precedent to a second guessing the president every time he does use emergency powers.
Okay.
They didn't want to do that.
So on what ground did they strike it down? Just to be clear,
that this particular thing falls under the major questions doctrine,
which is for our listeners and for me, by the way.
which means I don't know if I can express it exactly. Which means for certain major questions that are quite disruptive to the country in one way or another, there's it's like a stricter scrutiny to the language in a legislation, the language of a law. And they're saying now that since this is a major questions, it falls under the major questions doctrine, we're going to narrowly read the statute, which does not explicitly grant the power to
In an emergency.
to impose tariffs at all, ever.
At all. So where do we get that it's okay in an emergency?
That's what the law said. The law says the president can do other things in the case of an emergency. The law says the president could halt trade with China in an emergency.
Okay.
And Trump's argument is
The lesser measure should also be included.
if I can halt trade with
Okay.
China in an emergency, how about mitigating trade with China
Okay.
using fees? And they say, no, you can't do that. You can only halt it.
Okay.
Let me get my bearings here.
Yeah.
You're the owner of the Comedy Cellar.
Yes.
You are two comedians.
Yes.
No. Well, Periel's a comedian. I forgot. Sorry. My bad.
Oh God. Yes.
We're discussing constitutional law.
Oh, because we figured to start without you because you have a hard out.
Well.
Talk
but-
about this. So
I'm okay with anything.
I know, I'm going to talk about the Jews.
I just to give you a refresher. Number one is I sometimes make jokes, but Noam either doesn't hear them or goes or drives right over them. Like my joke last week about the gym, about Jim Crow. I don't even know if Noam heard it.
I don't know. That was a good joke.
Anyway, Noam is an accidental comedy club owner. I'll tell you what happened.
What happened?
First of all, his father
tripped and fell into a comedy club?
Yes. His father died and left him a comedy club. And his father was an accidental comedy club owner because he was a restaurant owner. And one day somebody comes in and says, "Can we use your basement for a comedy club?" He says, "Why the hell not?" It turns out it was profitable and it kept going.
Both of them hate comedy.
They don't hate it. They
hate
grew to love it. They grew
hate joy.
to like it. But Noam's true passion. And by the way, when I say Noam inherited a comedy club, let's be clear. He expanded it several fold. It's very impressive what he's done with the club.
You sound like you got a revolver to your temple.
No, it's true. I find Noam to be a very impressive guy. Yes, he can be exasperating, but he's very impressive.
I don't need sets, so I'll let you know if I'm impressed.
But
that's a joke, Dave.
okay, yeah,
That's how you tell a joke.
You're right. I was in my head. But Noam's true passion is to argue points of law, points of this is his passion. His great passion is not comedy.
Okay.
But now the club makes so much money. that he can't. He's not going to let it go.
Right.
I mean, the barrels of cash that are coming through.
You can't kill the golden goose.
You remind me of Judd Apatow, by the way. Does anybody ever tell you that?
I've never heard that before in my life.
Yeah.
The way he looks.
Well, there's a slight. You could be Judd's brother. It's not like a spitting image for Judd Apatow, but your manner and the way you talk and your physicality.
I'm a schlubby middle-aged Jew, so.
Well, you don't look.
But they don't all remind me. No, even the way you did that look, like it's very Judd Apatow.
All right. So this is the show where comedy people talk about news and politics.
Well, Noam does most of the talking.
I'm a news and politics guy. Can I talk about comedy?
Please.
If you'd like, if you have any. Yeah.
So I did this podcast about anti-Semitism, but it doesn't touch on the best way to measure anti-Semitism, which is through what's happened in comedy. You can watch the whole thing. Did you see that Netflix show, You People?
I haven't seen it.
Yes.
I haven't seen.
You haven't seen it? What did you think of it? There was a lot in that sigh.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't love that trope so much. I mean, maybe you can give the listeners like a condensed version of what that is.
I mean,
or of what it was, like what
Jonah Hill marries a black girl, gets together with a black girl. His family, his family has to somehow make peace with her family. Her dad is Eddie Murphy. He's a very dignified Nation of Islam guy.
Well, I heard about this. Yeah.
His parents are Julia Louis-Dreyfus and David Duchovny. They're just sort of these despicable Jews. It was sort of this weirdly hateful show. It was all very jovial, but the black characters were all kind of like proud and very dignified, and the Jewish characters were all kind of, he's like very disingenuous, dishonest people who just kind of want to be down with black people, but they don't really have any character, any principles of their own. And his uncle's a weird pervert. Like, it was just a very strange show that had this weird whiff of hatred in it. I'm like,
but it was written, I assume, by Jews.
Yeah.
So
we'll do anything for money.
But
I'm not trying to make more of it than it was.
No. I think that there was something really kind of despicable about it. I don't like that trope. I think it's like tired, and I think that there are lots of more interesting and productive.
Well, there's a recent movie that just came out that I heard like the Jewish characters are really like it's almost in the movies like a month ago.
Which one?
I don't know the name of it.
No,
I'll look it up.
Look, Portnoy's Complaint, which if you remember that book,
if you want to dig deep,
I mean that was a book written by a Jew, just and the main character was completely odious.
Yeah,
that was a great book.
It was, but it's like Jews writing shit about Jews. It's not complimentary and not flattering.
Well, we've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah, but I think that there was something particularly like kind of.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hear me out, because I and it was a lot of it through Netflix. And like Julia Louis-Dreyfus, it was so beneath her to play this terrible character, this shrewish Jewish woman. Like she's wonderful. But anyhow, and then I'm watching Chappelle, and this is all. I think this is all before October 7th. And Chappelle's got this joke about space Jews.
Yes.
Like, that's a weird joke. Like he didn't say space Zionists. It's Jews who did this terrible thing. It wasn't a very good joke. And then after October 7th, they came after Amy Schumer, and they came after Sarah Silverman, and
Seinfeld.
Yeah, and then other Jewish communities like I got to get ahead of this thing. I saw Sarah Sherman's thing, and I like her, and she's transgressive, and she's like all this gross out stuff. I'm very there for it. I love.
Does she do stand up, Sarah Sherman? I know she's on SNL.
Yeah, she's got a special out. And the first joke she tells. She goes, I'm a Jew, but I'm a free Palestine Jew. Like she's got to have an asterisk. She's got to somehow explain. Yes, okay, I know the elephant in the room. I'm a Jew, but don't worry, I'm the good kind. And then she made a joke, free Palestine Jew, because free, because we love free. It's very hokey, tropey. For a transgressive, edgy comedian, it was a pretty hacky joke.
Was it Eleanor the Great? Is that the one? I was thinking. Is that the movie?
Eleanor the Great.
Continue. I don't know.
We're going to figure out which movie you're referring to in time. All I'm saying is that I think you can read something into, and then Jon Stewart had to distance himself.
But they really have these convictions. They're not just saying that for the crowd. Both Jon Stewart and Sarah Sherman have these are their deeply held convictions.
Maybe, but I'll tell.
Well, we've had that discussion here with John privately, and then those are his.
Those are his convictions.
Those are his convictions.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I'm a journalist. I need people to listen to my show. But they don't have to like me. And part of the appeal is if I kind of rub them the wrong way a little bit. Comedians have to be liked. Like even like Gilbert Gottfried had to be like even though he's annoying, you got to kind of like him for it to be like, you're not going to laugh.
Much. He's very likable.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to laugh if you don't like them. And so I think you can almost measure something through what the Jewish comedians are doing. And I think a lot of Jewish comedians are calibrating themselves like, oh, this is like back to the 50s where I somehow have to explain to the audience, like, yes, I'm a Jew, but yeah.
Well, I think a lot, like I said, I think a lot of Jewish comedians, these are their true convictions, number one. And, a lot of Jewish comedians I think more Jewish comedians, by the way, are talking about, this could just be me. I think Modi has because Modi's been so successful. You know Modi?
You're talking about the
Modi Rosenfeld?
India? No, okay.
No, Modi Rosenfeld. I think because of Modi's success, by the way, he posted something on a private jet on Instagram. It was just him and Leo. This private jet was enormous. It was a lot of jet for two people. Anyway, he's making a very nice living. Anyway, I think that a lot of people are seeing this and I'm seeing more Jewish material being told, both on Instagram and at the club. Maybe it was always there and I didn't see it, whatever.
No, I'm glad to hear
But I think Modi is like, oh shit, we got to jump on this Jewish train. There's a fucking market here. Who knew? But I'm seeing a lot of Jewish comedians talking about being Jewish and not asterisking it with any.
But I think that's a reaction to what Jesse's talking about.
Because they have to recognize it in some way.
But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of
you can just show up and tell jokes. Now you're gonna be like, okay, everyone knows that I'm a Jew, so let me deal with that.
But as I said, I haven't. Most of the Jewish comedians are not bringing up free Palestine. They're not putting an asterisk next to the joke. They're just talking about being Jewish and aspects of being Jewish, at least that I have seen. And again, I think Modi has inspired a lot of Jews.
Why are you pointing at me?
Because you work closely with Modi. And, it's like they know there's a market there. And I think
that's a good thing.
Leaning it. Like Renan Hirschberg titled his special, Morbidly Jewish. Would he have done that if it weren't for the success of Modi and Elon? Maybe. It's possible.
You're talking about the Jewish market?
I think people are leaning into it more.
Huh.
Well, I think both things are happening simultaneously because, like, I'm having my own. We're opening a new club around the corner, and
it's a very good special, by the way, Morbidly Jewish. But in any case,
agreed.
Go ahead, Noam.
And I had wanted to call. My father's name was Menachem, but everybody called him Manny. But that was a concession to people. It's America. People don't know the name Menachem. So
why is my last name Brown? It used to be Brunstein.
Yeah. So, but he thought of himself as Menachem, and anybody who knew the name Menachem, or like his wife, they would call him Menachem, right? So, when I wanted to name the new club after him, the Noam Dworman Comedy Theater. The idea came up before October 7th. So,
that's very nice.
Yeah. So, but the comedians who all knew him, they knew him as Manny. So everybody's like, why don't you, Menachem, why don't you name it the Manny Dworman Comedy Theater? And that way people will just call it the Manny. And that way you distinguish, comedy at the Manny, comedy at the Underground.
We're going to call it the McDonald's anyway.
Yeah. So, and I said, when that was first said to me, I said, I have to be realistic. It's true. Nobody's going to say, well, I'm going to the Menachem. So, but going to the Manny does have a practical thing, although that really wasn't his name. But all right, maybe I'll do it that. And then October 7th happened and all this anti-Semitism. And I said, no, I'm naming it the fucking Menachem Dworman Comedy Theater. I want every goddamn person who comes there to see the name Menachem.
Yeah.
Like, you don't like it? Fuck you. This is a Jewish name. So that's like my inclination is to lean into it.
Good.
In that little way.
No, good. Look.
So I'm saying as a comedian, some comedians might be having the comedy version of my reaction. No, I'm going to tell my jokes. And other comedians might be trying to kiss ass. I'm one of the good ones.
That's the part that's really appalling to me.
Yeah.
That like, I'm one of the good ones. Like I'm a Jew, but like you can like me. Like it's okay.
Yeah. I think the Jew you're looking for is my uncle.
Yeah.
You should hear what he says about Palestine.
That's not
Go get him.
You know my favorite joke, permission to speak, that a Zionist and an anti-Zionist walk into a bar.
Yeah, we don't serve Jews here.
And the bartender says,
"We don't serve Jews here."
Yeah.
That's not the greatest joke in the world.
I didn't say it was the greatest joke.
I just step on her joke.
That's a terrible joke.
It's not a terrible joke.
It's a joke.
It's a joke like, yeah.
I'm not. It's a very apropos. I think
a very apropos.
It's not a ha joke. It's a joke. Those are good jokes too.
Anyway, like I didn't write it, so like I'm not offended, but I think it's very.
It's not as good as that's how you wave a towel.
Who?
Oh, that's a great joke.
What is it?
It's a long joke. I'm not going to tell it.
Well, now you told the punchline.
No, you can Google it, and that's how you wave a towel. Anybody that's listening, Google that's how you wave a towel. It's a very good joke.
I originally heard that joke from Modi, but anyway, so go ahead. So what else? What else do you want to say?
What else? I don't know.
No, are you finished with this? Because it's interesting.
Well,
stuff.
you have more.
I had something that came to mind, which is just I like what you're saying. I like what you're doing, and I think that you're using to good effect the particularity of New York. Usually, New York is 6 months ahead of culture, at least. In this instance, you're actually kind of behind because the myopia here is that, like, what is it, like 13, 14, 15% Jewish?
I don't even know.
And comedy, I would imagine you have a sense that it's even a higher degree of Jewish representation. Everywhere else, Jews are feeling the 1%, the 2%. You know?
I'll look it up. Go ahead.
So you can still open a Menachem here, and maybe it'll do well. And I think you should. I think that those statements should be made,
right?
And the history should be observed. But pretty much anywhere else, especially with diaspora Jews, it's like, you know, I know a guy who opened a smoked meat restaurant.
In Montreal.
14, 15%.
No, in Toronto. He doesn't call it Jewish food. If you read up the press, it says Eastern European delicatessen. He's afraid to say I opened up a Jewish deli. Mm-hmm. Like that, it's bad for business. You can't say Menachem. You can't say this is a Jewish deli.
First of all, I want to tell you that there are Jewish businesses being attacked all over the city. Somebody just reached out to me about.
I'm not sure if that's true, Periel.
It is true. What do you mean? The kosher sushi on the Upper West Side place just had a fucking chair thrown through its window because one of the workers was wearing a kippah.
All right, maybe that's true.
Why do you doubt it?
It's just because I'm saying it. It's just because it's me.
She gets her news from memes, and that's really the reason. She told us an incident of a story that you know it could be true because one of her workers was wearing a kippah. Somebody threw a chair. That's just, you know, already. I was like, really? Somebody threw a chair through a window because somebody was wearing a yarmulke? Maybe, I don't know. But then she's like, all over the city this has happened. That's what she says. And I just don't believe all over the city. Like, we have a Jewish star in our window in the olive tree downstairs.
Sushi Tokyo.
Sushi Tokyo.
Well, you know, we did have a guest on last week that spoke of her restaurant being shut down.
Yeah, but I don't know what I thought about that interview.
Okay. You're a skeptic. They burned down a Jewish deli in Toronto, and it's a terrible, terrible thing. And you dig into it, and then they wrote "Free Palestine" after they burned it down. You're like, that's a terrible thing.
I tell you what, the genius of the owner to write "Free Palestine."
Yeah. No, let me tell you something.
Yes.
Anytime you point out one of these incidents, they'll say, "How do we know a Jew didn't do it? How do we know a Jew didn't do it?"
False flag.
Yeah, you'll get that accusation every time. So the deli.
There are one or two instances where it was Jews.
These things do happen. Yeah.
Well, there's Jewish anti-Zionists, you know, so maybe they did it for the cause. Anyhow, you're looking into this story of the Jewish deli that got burned down. And it's not a deli like a New York deli. It's like a grocery store in the suburb of Toronto, and it's a terrible thing. I'm not saying otherwise.
North York.
What was the name? Yeah, it was around there. What was the name of the deli? International Deli Foods. So what's the sign outside? IDF. They needed to speak to a branding expert before. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying.
That's true?
It happened.
Did you look it up, Periel? Did it actually?
I can know because I'm thinking in my head now the Effie's Cafe, which is on 96th Street, they poured red paint all over the restaurant. They broke the windows, and there's another coffee.
Maybe you're right.
Wait. Let's just lean into that for a second. There's a coffee shop near Union Square and one on the Upper East Side that is Jewish or Israeli owned. They had incidents there. I mean, like, I'm not like making this up.
Well, then thank God Mamdani is mayor because, he'll be on the case.
So what do you actually think? Do you think that it's with Mamdani? Is it alarmist? Is it are Jewish people who are concerned about that? Are they jumping to conclusions?
No.
Are they paranoid? Or is this
No, I'm not paranoid. Like, I've never thought this about anybody else before. Like, I'm not paranoid about anti-Semitism.
Yeah,
like,
it's happening.
This is like a material fucking fact.
He's explicitly an anti-Zionist, right? So, but I think he's making gestures. Yeah, but I'm against anti-Semitism. Anti-Zionist, but against anti-Semitism.
Oh, okay, good. That makes me feel
Are
so much better.
Are you one to say that they're inextricably linked and that you can't have anti-Zionism without anti-Semitism?
I think that the pursuit to prove that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism is a mug's game. Who cares? I don't care. Are there people who are anti-Zionists who like Jews, who are Jews, who have nothing against Jews? Fine, maybe. But they're hurting Jews. Right? So whether or not they have something against Jews, the vast majority of Jews are connected to Israel in some way, shape, or form, whether it's because we have family there who we care about, or whether because we have a spiritual connection, or because we have an ancestral genetic connection. Like, you can't separate it. Like Israel and Jews is, like, it's, sorry, you can't really have one with the other. So if what you want, like, this is made much more complicated than it is. If I want to demolish the nation state of Italy, I'm anti-Italian. I'm an enemy to Italian people. If I don't want, I don't like what Russia's doing. I don't like what Putin's doing. If I don't think that Russia has a right to exist and I want to dismantle the Russian entity, I'm not a friend to my Russian neighbor. That person cares about Russia. They don't like my plan of destroying Russia. And if you think that Israel should not exist anymore, yeah, you are against Jews. Whether or not you like or hate Jews, you are against Jews. You've taken up a position that is against what the vast majority of Jews stand for.
Well, and I agree with you, but there's cases that can be made theoretically. That somebody could look at the history and say, I don't think that Israel should exist, whatever dumb reasons. I don't know, but then there's an additional element, which is very, very important, but it's more subjective. That's what which is the fact that he's Indian, he's a Pakistani, he's born in Uganda. What is it? Whatever it is. What's his actual nationality?
I think you mean ethnicity, not nationality. Yeah. I think it's Indian.
Indian. The fact that a guy like with Mamdani's profile would put the quixotic notion of ending the state of Israel front and center in the attention of his life, that he devotes this amount of bandwidth and energy to combating the idea of not just, the West Bank settlements, but Zionism.
Yeah.
We want to wind the clock back to 1948, which is never, ever, ever going to happen. That betrays an emotional involvement, which is difficult to understand outside of an animosity towards these people.
Maybe.
There's a million things in the world I could find
know.
on equal footing with Zionism and,
sure.
opposition to Zionism.
Lots of countries that you might say the same thing about.
Like, I'm a Jew. Like, what if I was just irate about some country somewhere and why?
Because his dad is into it? You might know more about him than I do. Was he born into it?
Yeah, his dad's into it like that too.
So's his mom, by the way.
So like the first thing he did after being after taking the oath of office, was to issue these orders rescinding a bunch of, albeit maybe deserved to be rescinded, laws that perhaps violated the First Amendment, which were regarded at defining anti-Semitism and outlawing anti-Semitism. As an ACLU sympathetic person of the old ACLU, I can understand these arguments. But why was it the very first thing usually presidents say, on day one, I'm going to close the border. In other words, you identify a very important issue to the people of New York. And you say, on day one, I'm going to make sure there's more police on the streets. On day one, I'm going to help the homeless. On day one, I'm going to see to it that every overbroad law about anti-Semitism is rescinded.
Sir,
what does that tell you?
Sir, I just met you.
Yeah.
But you're too thinky. This is why Jews can't fight.
You're already criticizing. You just met me. You don't criticize.
I just met you. You're like, he was absolutely right, and this needed to be rescinded. But did he have to do it on day one? That's what I would call a weak argument. Well, Jews got to fight.
No,
maybe he shouldn't rescind them. Even because you're like, well, there's a good, a little nishtahir, like it's.
No, I have to concede that that's just my nature. I have to concede that these laws, like kind of outlawing anti-Semitism, have always rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah. It's too specific, and you're a free speech absolutist. This is a comedy club.
But I understand the First Amendment, and I don't think so. So the idea that
the insult that it was the first thing that he did.
But that's my whole point, is that you can read something into the prioritization of this issue.
What should have been the first thing?
I don't know.
The snow shoveling for $30 an hour? You didn't know that was going to be a thing.
Congestion pricing? Free buses?
Within his own presentation.
Out of Derek Harrods, do a few things first, then get to the Jews.
I'll tell you, within his own prioritization of his own, within his own portrayal of his priorities, what he ran on. And by the way, he ran on specifically when people asked about Israel. He said, I don't want to discuss Israel. I want to discuss New York.
And a lot of Jews voted for him, huh?
Oh, a lot, yeah.
Well,
I would have said
members of my family.
On day one, I'm issuing an executive order to make the buses free. Or on day one, I'm going to end, some police practice.
So why did he do it as the first thing? You think because it's evidence of animosity towards Jews, is what you're saying?
Obviously,
it's evidence of something. It's evidence of the animosity toward Jews, animosity toward Israel.
Far be it for me to step into your local municipal politics with a contrary opinion, but let me do so anyhow. Obviously, he cares about the Jewish vote. You have to in New York, and everything he's doing. Just say, no, but watch, I'm going to rub the swastika off the subway wall. He does care. It wasn't about offending Jews or the mask falling off of his Jew hatred. It was a dog whistle to the people who feel the other way, right? That the first thing he's going to do is take away these things, is to let the other people who he needs let them know that there's a new boss in town, and he's not taking orders from parentheses them parentheses maybe.
And anything's possible.
I mean that's.
I don't think so.
Let me get into Toronto politics, tit for tat. I want more flights into Billy Bishop.
Billy Bishop is a good thing. New York to Billy Bishop, but Newark, I'm not so much into.
Nobody should be flying in or out of Newark. It's a disaster right now. I did find, if you are still interested in all of the hate crimes against Jewish businesses, I did pull something up. There you go.
Is that from TikTok?
By the way, do you know David and Rachel?
I don't even have TikTok.
David and Rachel Barron.
Oh my God.
Torontonians. Family. They're members of my cousins.
They're in the igloo next to mine. David and Rachel, the Toronto Jews?
Yes.
Of course I know them.
All right. They're in, I think, Thornhill or something.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Document attacks on Jewish Israeli affiliated businesses since 2023.
That sounds like a documented, citable source, not something she saw on TikTok.
Thank you, Jesse.
It's ChatGPT. Vandalism of 2nd Avenue Deli in October 2023.
What did they do to it?
Vandalized with swastikas and anti-Semitic symbols. It's in 2023. Number 2, Israeli-owned cafe Hummus Kitchen reportedly faced multiple anti-Semitic incidences.
Asking for it.
December 2020.
Jews claiming hummus, cultural appropriation.
Someone trying to remove an Israeli flag. And then number 3 on the list is additional reports from community sources, local discussions, and screenshots suggest Israeli or Jewish-themed restaurants in New York City, like Effie's Cafe, have experienced vandalism with pro-Palestinian graffiti and paint. These haven't been touted officially and are widely discussed in local forums as hate-motivated. No official police city report publicly.
Effie's Cafe is excellent, by the way. That's on the Upper East Side.
And on the Upper West Side.
Yeah, let's give shout-outs to vandalizing businesses.
And there's a great Israeli-owned cafe in my neighborhood, but I don't know if I should say it because they might get targeted.
Well, no, people should go eat there.
But it's Ella's Cafe on the Upper East Side.
So the
Cafe Landwehr in Toronto, they've been targeted. Great place. I'll have another one for you in a minute. Keep going.
no. So, but the other thing is with Mamdani. You know, I've really been off the news lately. I should quit this podcast because I haven't been following the news.
Well, except you read the Supreme Court opinion.
I read that
chapter and verse.
Yeah, but I heard. So I heard there was some policeman got hit with a snowball.
Yeah, several.
And the mayor called it a snowball fight. Right? Is that right?
I don't know.
And it just occurred to me, just hearing that like, you can't throw snowballs at policemen. I think the police.
There were rocks inside the snowballs.
Even if there weren't.
Yeah, but my point is like, it was a snowball fight. A snowball fight implies two people are playing. You can't have a snowball fight by yourself. Otherwise, if you're throwing a snowball at someone who's just walking by, that's not a snowball fight.
You're arguing that a snowball filled with rocks thrown at a police officer is inaccurately described as a snowball fight.
No, Mamdani.
Even if it weren't filled with rocks.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, but
that's not a good way to describe that.
No, but I'm saying that even, listen, I know you, from your point of view, you think I'm hard on her. I'm telling you, there's no bottom to what she can get wrong.
I didn't say that. I never said they called it a snowball fight.
If she says there were rocks in it,
yeah, double check.
50 flip of a coin whether it's true or not. Okay, yeah. So
there are 100% rocks in it.
Look it up. Whenever she looks it up, it takes her a while. So what I'm saying is
when she does, can I ask you to read the entire article again?
Yes.
Thank you.
What I'm saying is that it's what with even taking him at his, being credulous and accepting his version of events. It's an absurd thing for the mayor of New York to make excuses for anybody throwing snowballs at police officers. That's
Agreed.
serious.
Can I tell you something? When I saw Mamdani, I thought, oh, New York has their own Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
That's the same guy.
Mamdani's also fucking Katy Perry.
And Linda Ronstadt.
By the way,
you heard it here first.
He is very Apatow-esque, not just physically, but the way he speaks.
Yes, that's what I said.
Yeah, but no, I thought you were just referring to the physiognomy. Is that a word?
Well, physiognomy is like the facial expression.
Well, whatever. Yeah. But yes, he's very Apatonian.
I don't have any context for how to interpret that. Is it he's a very successful person?
No, just your voice.
Is it a compliment?
It's a compliment.
Just your vocal, right. Your voice.
It's a compliment.
Yeah, he's obviously very successful. You don't know who he is?
You'll tell me after. Goldstruck Cafe.
Were there rocks inside? You read this already?
No, I didn't read it.
Were there rocks inside the snowball? You want to take bets?
To take a bet? Well, by the way you're introducing the subject, I'm going to say there were not rocks.
He's so happy.
I'm not sure.
It's fairly obvious that there were not.
Yes, there were rocks.
There were rocks.
There weren't?
No. It says there is no verified, credible reporting confirming that rocks were placed inside the snowballs. The suggestion that rocks or other hard materials were intentionally packed inside is speculation seen in social media comments. This is where I told you she gets all her news from. Are you beginning to get the picture now,
Wait a second. I read that they had to go to the hospital, the cops.
I know you. No, that I think was reported.
Well, maybe if it's ice in there.
One second.
This is your co-host.
I'm just
your colleague. Shouldn't you want her to be right?
I do want her to be right.
Oh,
it's desperate. He's desperate for me to be right.
No, it's obviously better for the show if she's not right. It's just a much more comedic.
It would just be a different show. People would take us much more seriously if Periel was right. But I just said there are rocks in it. This is the thing. If I hear something from Periel that I have not heard elsewhere, I assume it's not true because I would have heard that there were rocks in the snowballs.
So the journalistic credo is trust everybody, but verify.
Yes.
Your credo with her is distrust.
Distrust, let her verify.
Your default is if she said it, that means it's inaccurate.
If it's outlandish, yeah.
If it's outlandish.
Yeah.
According to reports, including statements from the Police Benevolent Association, rocks and chunks of ice were included in the snowballs thrown at NYPD officers in Washington Square Park on February 23rd, 2026. Here.
She said the Police Benevolent, the cops union.
I would like a formal apology. The incident resulted in... he makes it like I just make things up.
You're getting it.
Well, you don't make things up, but
what's really weird is that she gave me something to read.
Yeah.
As evidence of this, and I read it out loud. It says there's no reports of rocks, and then she's like, Oh, fuck you. I said, I'm only reading what you gave me. Now you're giving me something else. Wait, okay. Allegations of rock science. The PBA president, Patrick Hendry, stated that the objects thrown
Fuck
not
him.
the snow. Okay, this is what, hey, no, it's like Patrick Hendry. This is what a PBA president has said. I don't think it's been confirmed by any reporters. It could have had rocks.
Okay.
But if it did have, listen, if it did have rocks,
Yeah.
it would be odd.
Hypothetically.
It would be odd for the mayor to try to use. It was just a snowball fight line,
Right.
So
From which you conclude.
that either it didn't have rocks or Mamdani was on.
But even if it did not have rocks, it's still an odd characterization.
My only point was that even if there were no rocks, the idea that the mayor of New York is not out there saying, "Listen, you cannot throw snowballs at an NYPD officer. That we will arrest you for that."
As opposed to saying, it was a snowball.
Oh yeah,
And you cannot.
boys will be boys.
And I would just say you should not throw snowballs at anybody that you don't know. That
Of course.
you know.
But
And
no,
that's an assault. That's assault.
100%. I mean, I really think it's appalling that somebody would throw snowballs at NYPD. I mean, I really do. Like, I was.
In 2020, she was carrying signs, defund the police.
First of all, that's bullshit. I never carried any
You
sign.
were totally down with it.
No, I was
all the
never.
BLM nonsense.
First of all,
Well, why not defund the police? Don't they have too much money?
BLM is
They don't have too much money.
okay. Don't do that. I never said defund the police. And
Like a little bit. Defund them a little bit.
no, I think that bad
cut
cops
back.
should be held accountable for their actions. And I think that the fucking police are the first people you call in this city if something bad happens, and throwing shit at them is beyond disrespectful. It's fucking insane.
Agreed. But maybe defund them a little bit.
Well, one can defund them and still be against assaulting them.
No, I think that the police need additional funding. They're not. We don't see as many policemen as we used to.
That doesn't mean bad cops should get away with doing.
I do see them on the subway more frequently.
I don't know. I'm a stranger in your land. In Toronto, we have a lot of cops who, beat up and shoot people who probably should just be taken to, need mental health care.
But these things aren't mutually exclusive, right? Like, I mean, bad cops should be held accountable for their bad behavior, and you still shouldn't throw shit at police officers.
We just had the craziest story in Canada, by the way. The Toronto cops, they just charged 7 cops, and there's 3 more cops who are suspended. They're charged with they gave the name of a corrections officer at a jail to these criminals who went to try to kill the guy. Like, the cops were like feeding information. The cops, they've announced it's Canada news. Nobody cares. It's amazing. The story is amazing. It should be starring Ben Affleck and Matt Damon as dirty cops. Like, they're putting every police force in the province under investigation. The cops were feeding information of who to go kill to criminals. They were dealing drugs and guns. Like, we've never seen anything like this.
It sounds like Mexico.
It's wild. It's wild. This is what's happening right now.
Well, you had that mayor, that crazy mayor. What was his name again?
Rob Ford. Yeah.
And that was newsworthy. We heard about him here.
Oh, I loved it. I was in New York when that story broke, and I was buying something at the Gap, and the checkout girl said, "Where are you from?" Yeah, you can laugh. Yeah, it's deserved. And she said, "Oh, where are you from?" And I said, "Toronto." She goes, "Oh, you got that mayor. We're finally on the map. We have a crack smoking." And we learned everything about covering Trump because we had Rob Ford.
And then maybe the Tragically Hip will one day become popular here.
Me and Dan Aykroyd are still pulling for it.
Do you like the Tragically Hip?
Yeah, I'm a Canadian. I like the Tragically.
I struggle. A friend of mine sent me a couple of their tracks, and I was trying to like them. I couldn't do it. I couldn't pull it off.
I mean,
it's like, no.
We'll probably come to terms on Canadian comedy before we come to terms.
But Rush, I'm all for.
You're showing your age.
All right. And the Guess Who.
And the Guess Who. Yeah. Sure.
Burton Cummings.
He was here.
He came here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you had him here.
Yeah.
Well, he was in the audience.
Oh, okay. Not Randy. Randy wasn't here.
No. Randy Bachman.
Well, he might have, but he possibly came through here.
All right. So what else? I thought we were going to talk about anti-Semitism in Canada.
Oh yeah. We have time.
But I'm happy to talk about other things. What's your take on possible bombing of Iran. And will you guys be there for us?
Well, so we had 350,000 Persian Canadians come out on the street. Okay, it didn't get much media coverage, but we got a lot of Iranian Canadians.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's up there with the biggest Canadian street protester. And this was not like the anti-Zionists. They didn't break windows. They weren't yelling to kill anybody. This was a vigil for the tens of thousands of people who were killed. But it was also about hope that they want to see change there. And some of the anti-Zionists came out on behalf of the regime to protest against these people. So I don't know. It's what can you do aside from the questions of like, oh, are they, for decades, oh, you can't bomb Iran because we're going to push the world towards World War III. It didn't happen. It turns out you can bomb them, and the world's better off for it, right? So what can anyone hope? Okay, it's done. They bombed them already once. Maybe it's going to happen again in a day or two. What can you hope for? But a better, it's a terrible situation they have there.
You're saying it's worth a shot.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna tilt the world towards a wider conflagration, and I don't think it's good to let the regime just crack down on the dissidents and go back to business as usual. I think that there's an opportunity there. I don't know. Who the hell cares? I'm not a foreign policy guy. I'm on a comedy podcast. It was happy hour before this, so that happened too. So I'm a little bit over my skis right now, and I'm talking about what should happen in Iran. Yeah, I'd love to see regime change in Iran.
What about? Well, no, that's a different.
Well, we'd all love to see regime change in Iran, but is it America's right to go in there and do it?
Oh no, the question is, we didn't even get regime change in Venezuela. Will we be able to bring about regime change? Merely without.
That's a very good question, because
that's the question.
It's not taco. It's not Trump always chickens out. It's like Trump wants quick wins. He wants to get in and out. So he'll do things on the international stage as long as it's not going to be like a protracted quagmire, which is actually not idiotic.
No,
that's not idiotic. But if you just go in and bomb once and then what's going to happen next, and what will
this regime is fairly tenacious. The supreme leader has been in there since the 80s.
79.
Was it the same supreme leader since 79?
No, it was Khomeini. We got an election on this. Khomeini died, and Khomeini.
Right, but the current supreme leader has been there since the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
He's an old guy.
He hasn't fallen yet.
He's very old. I will agree with you.
Cancer.
And I don't care for him.
Right. The point is, with this regime, seems like it hasn't fallen yet.
No.
Yeah. No. This happened. This has happened like 4 or 5 times where there's been like a popular uprising, and everybody gets very excited that something's going to change, and then they internet blackout. There's some reports that they killed 60,000 people there in just a few days' time, mostly by sniper rifle.
We have to say
that's wild to me.
As Jews.
As Jews.
First of all, let's just say that the supreme leader is an anti-Zionist, but we don't know whether he's an anti-Semite.
They're 2 different things.
Number one.
He might be Jewish.
Number 2.
Yeah.
I do have to say.
He may not be an anti-Semite.
No, not as Jews. Everybody does this. When people say, I think 100,000 people, with his reports that 100,000 women and children died in Gaza. Like, oh, there's reports. Oh, you believe every report you hear? But you believe it because it's convenient for your case. They say, I heard reports 60,000 people died in Iran. We don't really know, right? Like we don't want to be guilty of cherry picking the reports that suit the case we want to make. I don't know what the reliable number is.
As embarrassing as it is to get corrected on the factual record in a comedy club, it's true, and it's weasel words for me to say there were reports.
Yeah.
Oh, are they verified? We don't know. We don't know. I think.
Did you see it on TikTok?
No.
You know what? Before the taping, you told me. So I think it's like confirmed at somewhere between 10 and 60,000.
Well, that's kind of like a big. I mean, I'm not like a math expert, but
look. But will we ever know? Because we didn't see pictures the way we saw pictures every day from Gaza. We saw pictures of body bags in a morgue, and that was all we saw.
It's horrible. It's really devastating. Can I say something? Because I would be remiss to let this entire podcast go by. I have a question.
Can you stop prefacing everything you say with "Can I say something?"
I'd be remiss. You don't need.
What is your take? Did you see this whole thing with Tucker Carlson in Ben Gurion Airport? That he said that he was like attacked, or that whole
that they questioned him. I saw, you know, as I said, I've lost my Jones. So you don't know me, but I was like 3 years ago, right, screaming about Tucker Carlson.
I'm getting to know you.
Yeah, and I was saying, you know, that even before October 7th, this guy is you know, conspiratorial. He's getting people killed with COVID and this Ukrainian weapons lab nonsense. Like this guy's just, and then he left Fox, and then his racist text messages came out, and I was like, when is this guy's? And then when he first started his show, he went off about UFOs and alien creatures and telling Joe Rogan about how there's satanic beings live under the water. And I'm like, this guy's mentally ill. How can this guy become an influencer? And then October 7th happened and he went full blown.
May I just say, heck of a meritocracy you got going here.
Yes.
I did want to continue the Iran discussion.
Wait, yeah, well, okay, we can go back. So my only point is that, but once, and I was like screaming, yelling about it, and I enjoyed the fact that I knew I was right, and I was, you know, like just skewering people with it, and like really, I don't know what the word is, like breaking ground. And then once everybody caught up with me, because now everybody's basically on the Tucker Carlson is a madman train, right? And everybody, I've totally lost interest in that issue because it was all about being right. It really wasn't. I realized it really wasn't about Tucker Carlson. So now that everybody believes it, I was like, all right, who cares about Tucker Carlson?
Millions and millions of deluded people.
Yeah, but I'm saying right. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
No, he lied about what happened to him in Ben Gurion Airport, and I think he was absolutely humiliated.
And then he accused Herzog. He accused Herzog of being.
And then had to eat shit and apologize.
I got to hear about what you think about Epstein.
All right.
Careful. First of all, are you on the list? I'm on the list.
You're not on a list. You're in the file.
I'm on the list.
He wants to be on the list. This is as close as I got to the Epstein files, being in the Epstein files.
I'm in the files.
I broke a story years ago before the Me Too movement about a guy named Jian Ghomeshi, who was a big celebrity in Canada.
What's his name?
Jian Ghomeshi.
Okay. Must be a Quebecer.
Iranian Canadian.
Oh.
Full circle. No, it's not going to. Anyhow, he was a sexual predator who I did an investigation.
You have to say alleged because I don't want to get sued.
No,
but, okay.
Well, no, he was acquitted of a bunch of charges, but then he had an apology and a peace bond for the last one.
Let's just say alleged sexual predator. Go ahead.
For your legal purposes, I'll say alleged.
Especially since he was acquitted, but go ahead.
It was a story that I investigated and broke. It was a big deal in Canada, and it showed up in the Epstein files in an email chain between Epstein and Woody Allen. I felt, all right, I've made my mark.
So we're all in the Epstein file. I'm not actually.
So what do I think about the Epstein?
Well, your club is in it, and that's why I'm in it, because they said that.
And it says it's the place to go for comedy.
Did Epstein say that?
Epstein said it, or somebody said it to him. But between them, they decided the Comedy Cellar is the place for comedy.
You should put that as like a quote on the blurb.
And you know why?
Well,
we have the hottest waitresses.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, but you also the strictest with the age minimum.
Go ahead.
You've card everybody.
I appreciate you making space for this take. What do I think of the Epstein files? Possibly not good for the Jews. That's all. I'm sorry. That's all. What is there to say? Every day, it's being drawn into this as evidence of, once you it really is interesting to see. Anti-Semitism is a hell of a drug, and once people start to put their thumbtacks in their red yarn and try to find the connections, it's the gift that keeps giving. They'll find all kinds of connections because we do know each other. There's not a lot of us.
I can't believe I never met you.
I can't believe you don't know the Barons.
And the Rothschilds. Okay. So this
No, my cousin's the Baron.
I looked it up. I started sending it around. I should have sent it to you like 3 years ago. Periel was going on about Epstein.
Uh-huh.
And I was like just making fun of him. She was like, but I said, do you believe this, Periel? She said, yes, of course I would. And I said, of course you believe it, Periel. And then she believed in an international pedophile ring, and he was murdered in prison, and she believed it all. And you remember me saying,
you don't think he was murdered in prison?
No. And I remember thinking, I think this is a bunch of bull. Nothing's going to be any.
I don't think he was murdered, but that's at least not as crazy as the people that say he's still alive.
Well, the notion that
He was definitely murdered.
That the most plausible theory of the murder is that some inmate got him because they kill pedophiles or something. But whatever. I don't believe he was murdered in prison.
We're talking about him, so I just want to say to those who care about such things, there is, and I don't like to say things definitively because who knows what we're going to find out tomorrow. There is no substance to the idea that he was a Mossad agent. There's no substance to it.
You really believe that? No, I'm kidding.
I don't know what I believe. God damn.
But I'm gonna make my point. So, you know, I really didn't believe they were going to uncover some mass pedophile ring between Epstein and Bill Clinton and Bill Gates and Larry Summers.
Noam Chomsky.
Noam Chomsky.
Noam Chomsky.
But you know, my wife literally, she starts spittle when she gets so mad when she hears me like weaseling through the Epstein story because she thinks I'm pro pedophile or something. So let me just say for the record, something I said even years ago. This attraction, this barely legal attraction, is a pervasive thing in men who identify as males. Is that okay for you? And this is something else that I spoke about years ago because when my daughter was first coming of age, when she could start to read on
where are you going here?
When she became old enough to read the channel guide.
Yeah.
They started taking it off on the Verizon channel guide. Something here like barely legal teen rides my and it was all these synopses of things you could watch.
I hear you.
That were blatantly appealing to men. So obviously this has to be a big market.
Let's not pretend that a sexual interest from gross old men like ourselves in teenage women and the titillation of the barely legal thing is not a major part of our culture.
Yes.
And let's not conflate and confuse pedophiles who are interested in children with perverted old men who are interested in the barely legal.
But let's not make too fine a point of what's technically a pedophile and what's an ephebophile, whatever.
No, because these are gross guys who are doing
still wrong to have sex with,
No.
The whole thing was worse than wrong. And
this is all preparatory comments, but it is important actually. Now I want to say nobody's gonna believe me but I was outraged by this barely legal stuff on Verizon. I remember I texted an important female celebrity say, we should maybe boycott Verizon here because I don't want my children growing up seeing this on the channel guide. So I was very offended by that. The distinction is important because some of the women that Epstein was actually convicted of in 2008, I think she was 16 or 17, which in many states would have been of age. So although both you can consider both wrong, we do have to recognize that there is a gray area attraction where there is actually no consensual, what's the word? What's the word about wisdom? Like the conventional, there's no conventional wisdom.
Watch, no one's rushing in to help you.
No, there's no conventional wisdom of where the line should be drawn.
Yeah. I think you're making a good point. 18. I think you're making a courageous point that people don't want to make right now, which is
wait. But we all agree vehemently, and there's no gray area, that prepubescent children are a sickness and off limits.
Well, we'd also all agree that a 13-year-old girl, whether pubescent or not, is an outrage. If anybody, and then
we also know that, for instance, a famous comedian had a 17-year-old girlfriend at one time, and it was we know that Woody Allen, aside from Woody Allen's totally got in later in the movie Manhattan, he had a 17-year-old girlfriend.
Yeah.
And people were not outraged by this. So
Epstein's a monster enough without making it about something that it isn't.
Yeah. So these are all, if you called it courageous, but if you're going to look at this stuff honestly, these are
honest. Yeah.
These are all things that a person being fair is going to try to discern. But all this is to say that. But in the end, I predict the Epstein files would amount to nothing. Now, Thomas Massey, this fucking anti-Zionist, it's all together. Thomas Massey.
I just had one point about Epstein. Is this an Epstein related?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So he is the guy behind this Epstein Release Act or whatever. The Epstein, what's the name of it?
Yeah, it's the Epstein Release Act, something like that.
Yeah, Epstein Disclosure Act, whatever it's called. And the congressmen are allowed to see the unredacted files.
Okay.
And the congressmen are also allowed to go on the floor of Congress, it's in the Constitution, and say whatever they want. They cannot be sued for a libel for anything they say on the floor of Congress. So this guy, Thomas Massey, who has been really fueling this whole thing, he goes and he looks at all the unredacted files.
And he can say whatever he wants.
And then he gets on the floor of Congress and he says, he's despicable. He says, these Epstein files uncovered sick, demonic behavior rampant throughout elite people, whatever it is. And he said, in England, they did something about this. They arrested Prince Andrew and his other guy. Sidebar, we all know, they arrested Prince Andrew for financial improprieties. Had nothing to do with it. So this is extremely deceptive in the way it's presented. And then he says, and in America, we've arrested nobody. And we should be looking into people. And the two people he mentions are Leon Black and Leslie Wexner. The most generic two names that we've known about for 15 years that, you know, that got money from Epstein supposedly for their financial. Meaning that he went on the floor of Congress. He spent hours looking at the unredacted files, and he didn't give us one name.
While grandstanding that he was doing
or
one name of one single person that he found evidence in these files
of demonic activity,
of anything to do with sexual impropriety.
But he had said demonic activity, or words to that effect.
Other people said he might have said demonic, but he's saying like.
Can you fact check him on that?
Yeah.
You're paraphrasing. We have a similar thing, parliamentary privilege. If you're giving testimony in Parliament, you can say what you want. You can't be sued for libel, and it's been abused. It's been abused to ruin people's reputations. I gotta go.
Okay.
Why? You just got.
I got a thing. I've been in town doing nothing but this. This is the most fun I've had. I still don't know what this podcast is.
Well, it's very. I got, you know, before you came in, we started late. People moving this way, moving this way. So of course I go ahead. I'm going to cut out the part where I got mad about the camera being in the wrong spot. I spent a lot of money to have these cameras on PTZ. You know, PTZ, pan, tilt, zoom, which it follows you. In my dumb head, I'm like, no, we don't need to tell Dan to move right.
Right. Why did I pay for the camera and then I've got to move people around?
Can I get some sharks with friggin' laser beams on them?
Right.
To bring it to comedy, one thing you'll notice is a plethora of Epstein jokes on social media. I suspect because you get more hits, more clicks, more likes with topical jokes. Because I don't think comedians would be writing all these Epstein jokes. I wrote an Epstein joke. I would never have written an Epstein joke, but I thought, well, maybe, you know, that's what social media wants.
Can I plug my podcast?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, please.
Okay. I spent 7 months doing a show about what's happening to Jews. It's called What Is Happening Here? Canadaland Investigates. It's worth your time. I'm really glad you asked me to come here.
I hope you come again. You're a great guest.
I'll do it anytime. This is a blast.
So how long are you in town for?
I leave Friday.
Today's Wednesday. Why don't you come down to the cellar tomorrow or the next day?
Watch a show?
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
There is no smoke meat on the menu, but the steak is wonderful.
Yeah, you have Periel's information?
Yeah, we're in touch.
Yes.
Okay.
She'll give you my information. Is there anything else we want to talk about here after they go? Want to talk about them after they leave? Take it easy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, come. You don't want to come tonight. Come.
I would, but I got a thing.
Thursday or Friday.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anything else about?
Well, I would just say that was a good episode.
Yeah, very good.
You know, and because we got into comedy and mixed in with, you know, the politics, it was a nice mix. And I think,
he happened to be a intelligent person.
Well, that's true as well.
Yeah. And apatesque.
In an Apatonian way.
Apatonian. That's better. All right. Are we done here?
I think so.
I will. You send me that file and I'll edit it out. And then we have to do something. I'll just say, why
I have a question.
In and out.
I have one question also. I sent you a guest idea.
Yeah.
I don't know if you received it or not.
Yes, I did.
And?
About your...
Well, it's a college...
Former roommate is one of the...
No, it's not a roommate, but a colleague at
college. Who's one of the...
At law school.
Is the first
social network.
Social network. Yeah, that'd be a great guest.
Okay. So I gave you the email.
All right. Can we just make a rule that we are not on our phones during this show unless we are actually, like, it's part of the show? Yeah, let me look that up.
Okay. I want to say something.